Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to another player profile. Kicked it off with Dangerfield the other day, so if you haven't checked that out already, go and have a look at that. Certainly a man that we can talk about for a long period of time. He does certainly divide opinion and there's a lot going into this selection, but I think there'll be a little less going into this man's selection that I'm about to talk about. He's one of my favourite players, has been for a long time. Ever since he was drafted, I thought he was going to be a star. Have always been a big fan of him, like many have, and that's Paddy Cripps. So I definitely want to dissect a few key areas about Paddy today, but personally, off the top, I think he's a must-have. Of course, it's only December right now, a lot can happen from here, but at the moment, he's fit, he's beautifully priced, he's the main man in the midfield, a clearance king, and I think he's definitely a guy who could be a nice little cheaper premium option for us that will launch his way into premium status in the early stages of 2018. Why do I think that? I'm not going to tell you the obvious. We already know he's a superstar, he's a clearance king, he's a contested ball monster, blah, blah, blah. We all know that, of course, but what do we really need to look at? 97.7 average, that's going to price him quite nicely. You know, you can scroll past all you guys who averaged 100, you go, oh, it's getting a bit thin, oh, I don't trust him. Oh, gee, Paddy Cripps. This is a nice little buy, you know, that's not a bad little price for Paddy. I think the big query on Cripps is definitely his ability to go bigger. And I think he's a very consistent scorer, but he does handball a lot. He isn't maybe the nicest kick at this stage of his career. Does he kick enough goals? You know, does he have enough of those extra little weapons to take himself from 105 average to 115 average? I think he does. I definitely think he does, because he is so good at the contested ball game and he's a tackling machine. I think we can see him top the competition in tackles and clearances, and that will certainly calculate into some extreme points, a la Josh Kennedy. So let's just have a look at his career. Obviously 2014, injury, 39.3 from his 3 games. Burst on the scene in 2015, averaged 96.3 from 20 games. That 172 in round 3. It still bloody haunts me. I'll tell you a quick story. I'll just get off track for a little bit. I'll make it quick. But start of that season, I was umming and ahhing. You know, a lot of people going Nathan Van Berlo. I think he's priced about 190. Paddy Cripps, I think, was priced around 180 or something like that. It's not really important what they were priced at, but it was sort of that battle of a young, promising player versus the experienced guy who'll probably average 80. I went Cripps. Very pleased with my decision. I was happy with that. I think round 1, 64. Bit of a tight back, you know, missed round 2, came back for round 3. But of course, after 2 rounds, the prices are starting to change. I think Van Berlo dished out about an 82 and an 89, something like that. And I thought, gee, I'm just going to have to go with Van Berlo. You know, I know what I'm going to get. Cripps could explode at some stage in the season, but he's got a tight back. He's a young man. I've just got to go with what I know. And plus, I'll get that initial coin because he's playing his 3rd game now. Paddy Cripps, you know, I'm not really sure. Plus, he's going to have to wait another game to get the price up, and money's so important in those early stages of the season. So I pull the trigger. Paddy Cripps out, Nathan Van Berlo in. And watching the scores on that game against St Kilda, I think it was in New Zealand from memory, one of the more painful experiences watching. It hurts every time you trade a man out and then he dominates, but a young man who was about to explode in price, little did I know, he came out and belted 172 points. And I think I got Van Berlo 62. And I missed out on all that coin Paddy Cripps had made. And I talked him up all bloody pre-season. People were like, oh, great call, Shorty, great stuff. You know, you've done so well for me. I got an absolute bargain. And I'm sitting there with Nathan Van Berlo. Anyway, it wasn't a great day, and I certainly was pretty salty at the time, and maybe I hold a grudge on that one. We'll never know. But moving back to Paddy Cripps in his career, of course, he exploded 2015, put himself on the scene. 2016, averaged 107.6. But I think what everyone wanted to look at in that season was his last 6 rounds. And it's a reason we probably had higher expectations for Cripps in 2017, but there were reasons he didn't go as well as we thought. His last 6 games in 2016, 137, 118, 124, 118, 153 and 140. He had absolute premium explosion written all over him. Priced at 107, not too bad, but definitely going up to the 115 mark. Unfortunately, mainly due to injury, 97.7 from 15 games was all he could manage. It wasn't an ideal pre-season for him. Had a stress fracture in his back, which certainly took him out of large chunks of the pre-season and didn't allow him to hit the ground running. And we know how important a pre-season is, particularly for a man who's looking to take his game to the next level. And I think it was reflected in his season. The first 7 rounds averaged 92.7, starting this season disappointingly with 50 in the season opener. So just 92.7 from the first 7 rounds. But after that, we saw him get going. The next 7 games averaged 113.1, went beyond the 110 mark on 4 of those 7 occasions, and I think a 97, 94 and maybe a 70. So I think he answered the call that when he did have a good game, it could be over 110. I think he certainly answered that. And then in round 16 against the D's, he fractured his leg. So he didn't have a good run against the D's. I think Jordan Lewis hit him in, what was it, round 2 or 3, broke his jaw, and then fractured his leg in round 16, which was also early in the game, which saw him only score 25 points, and therefore really see his average go down a couple of clicks, and we see him price 97.7. So definitely a great price. I think when you look at those numbers and you look at the hype about him, we know what he can do. If he gets a pre-season under his belt, he's one of the first players I'm picking. There's no doubt about it. I love the option in my midfield. I like to structure it to have, 2 or 3 absolutely reliable guys that you can lock on, and you pay premium dollar and you know what you're going to get. But I also like trying to have maybe a couple of guys who didn't have the best season by their expectations, or a bit of an injury season, and they're probably 6 or 7 points below where you'd expect them, and you get them a bit cheaper. And in Cripps' case, it's even better because he's priced a little bit down, but again, he's going to be growing, going to be going even better than probably what we expect. That 107, I think it's about minimum. I think if he gets a good pre-season under his belt, we can expect 107, 108 points quite easily on average, maybe even more. I would expect good pre-season on his belt. I'd be expecting a 110 plus average. It also came to light that he was playing with broken ribs for about 6 weeks. So he's a tough man. He's an absolute warrior. I definitely feel like he should be one of your first pick players if he were to get in there and have a good pre-season. Of course, Bryce Gibbs is out. He's gone to Adelaide, but definitely Cripps will take the mantle as the number 1 midfielder. Mark Murphy will be in there. A couple of young guys from the Blues definitely will look to step up. But Cripps is the type of guy that you just can't consistently tag. In fact, if he gets going, he might be the sort of guy, he probably already is the sort of guy that you say, look, maybe we can get Cripps, maybe we can't. He's just a beast on the inside. Let's just tag Murphy. That's so often happened, and I think you don't have to worry about the tag. Given Cripps does play in a poor side, in a weaker midfield, I don't think you need to worry about that as much. So I'm definitely locking him in. I'm a massive wrap for him. I have been for years, and I definitely feel this is a perfect time to pick him up. He could be a beautiful selection where you can save what might be 40 to 80k, depending who else you're looking at. You save beautifully on that. He will definitely go up in price. But the main thing is, it's not about price when you're selecting at that. We're talking premiums, and I would be extremely confident to say he will explode to be one of the best midfielders in the competition. He's already one of the best inside mids, but he just didn't get a run at it last year. Unlucky with a number of injuries, still managed to, as soft as the case with those bustling types, Joel Selwood, Kennedy style, even when they're a bit injured, they can still put their body in there and dish out handballs and get you 100 points. But I definitely feel that we'll see some big numbers from Cripps. He will be in my side, barring any injury, chaos or anything like that. So certainly looking forward to seeing how he goes through the pre-season, and I'll definitely be looking forward to seeing your thoughts on that as well. So definitely comment away. Let me know what you think about Cripps. Am I getting too carried away? By all means, let me know. I think it's a great selection. If you agree, certainly give the video a like and let me know if it'll be in your side. Any SuperCoach news as well, let me know. If you've got a few players you want me to play a profile, definitely leave a comment there. I'll look to get everyone's input involved. Obviously, there'll be some that I may not get to, but certainly if there's a few common thoughts, then definitely I'll be looking to do those ones that are requested in the next couple of weeks. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you soon.